Hey, everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News. And I'm very pleased to have with us Darren Beck, who's the Global Strategic Alliances Lead for CallCabinet. Darren, thank you for joining me today.
Hey, Doug, thanks very much. Delighted to be here today.
Well, we're doing an ongoing part of our podcast series on CallCabinet Solutions. And today we're going to be talking about how CallCabinet Solutions empowers enterprises to capture, archive, transform Microsoft Teams conversations into actionable insights, offering data-driven value across compliance, customer experience, and operational strategy. So, Darren, with all that, could you just give us first a big overview of what CallCabinet does as a company?
Sure. Yeah. So we've been around for about 12 or 13 years now. We're a global speech analytics, voice recording, and screen recording global software vendor. And we've got integrations across all the major platforms. And we provide these services to various different types of organizations. So some regulated, some non-regulated, banks, insurers, but also large contact centers as well.
Now, with that, let's dive right into to the topic at hand, especially with Microsoft Teams. What does CallCabinet uniquely have to do with Teams to make it most compliant?
Yeah, good question. So it's been a few years since we first got our certification with Microsoft. If I remember correctly, I think it was back in toward the tail end of 2019. I think so. About 5 years. We were one of the first. I think we were the first or second to gain that certification. And initially, it was around compliance. Teams have their own recording built in, like most platforms do, but it's more of what we call a convenience style recording. So it's not compliant. So what we do is we bring different security features to those platforms, and we do our own recording, and it enables the end user to have complete control over the way that they record, but also what they record, the way that it's stored, the way that it's accessed. So, for example, our platform is permissions based. Only those people with those permissions can access the recordings, and they're encrypted as well, fully encrypted. We use a sort of high level military grade encryption process with all our data. So the user has complete control. And because we're global, we've got presence wherever we've got customers. So from a data sovereignty point of view as well, then it means that customer's data is captured, processed, and stored in the local region as well.
And it's more than just that you're capturing it and storing it. There's insights.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point. So one of the things that we've done is, although we got our certification 4 or 5 years ago, we recertify every year from a security point of view. But actually, what we do, our devs don't kind of become complacent and just think, great, we've released this product, we can kind of move on to the next one. What we do, we go back and we're constantly developing that solution. So what started out as a compliant recording solutions turned into a full AI-driven analytics, sentiment analysis. It becomes intelligent business information as well for the customer, so they can utilize that data that they're capturing various different ways. Maybe it's to identify risk, maybe it's to improve customer experience. It's really up to the end customer, but all of those things are possible with our solution.
And can you do this across the platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things we've learned over the years is that the industry's changed, and most customers and most of our partners are deploying multiple solutions across their users. So, for example, they'll have Teams, but they may also have Zoom, Avaya, Cisco, any of those big guys as well that we also have got a full integration with. And the beauty of it is it's the same experience regardless of that platform. So what they can do is they can record multiple different platforms and pull it back into our single user face. So it's that holistic view across all of those platforms. But actually, it's no different. They can have all of those things together. They can access all the same features regardless of the platform.
Darren, so many of our readers, it's very rare that the reader has a pristine environment. They just have one server in place, one approach in place. There are so many kit bash networks, hybrid networks, legacy equipment. How do you really deal with that real world situation?
Yeah, good question. So there's a number of ways, and it actually works not just with our existing customers, but also customers that maybe feel they're kind of tied to those legacy platforms because they've got those legacy data recordings built in. So one of the things that we do is a number of things. First of all, we can unlock that data. So if they're tied to an old platform, that can be decommissioned. We've got specific tools that we've developed that can unlock it and securely migrate it over to our platform. So that means straight away that everything, their new data and their old data, is all in the same place and has the same features that can be applied to it. Even the old data, they can run reports retrospectively on those. But it also means if you've got a customer with maybe a footprint across multiple regions, maybe they're between phases in terms of what level of deployment they've done. Maybe the most progressive offices have already moved to the cloud, no problem with there. If you've got the older, or maybe phase 2, phase 3 is still hybrid or on-prem, no problem there either. We can deploy across all of those platforms. So we kind of unify and reconcile across not just platforms, but also the different mediums as well. So omni-channels, doesn't have to just be voice. We do screen recording, we do video, but we also do chat as well. So there's various different omni-channel platforms that or data that we can capture. And again, that's the same analysis can be applied to those different platforms and those different channels as well.
So this is really interesting. In other words, for users that are in the midst of a migration, which is sort of half done, and they've got places that are really legacy and other places that are maybe fully Teams and everything in between and so on, the results are going to be like consistent. They're going to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, 100%. So one of the things that we've, and I was saying this on a call with a partner earlier, is one of the things that we try and achieve with our platform, and this comes from the founders really, is that we've always tried to make our solution, and it sounds a bit cliche, but just really easy to access and mostly consistent. So exactly that situation, you might be different situations, different hybrid environments, different types of businesses, but ultimately that experience from us is the same across all of that. So really, if you've got customers in different situations, we try and be that the reconciler, if you like, and just make it as seamless and easy for them to not just access those recordings, but also be able to do some really kind of advanced stuff with them as well.
So Darren, what about mobility?
Yeah, great question. So that's a real hot topic at the moment, and it's something we're getting asked for more and more. And the beauty of Teams is that we capture the recordings at the tenant level, which means any traffic that happens to travel through that tenant, then we can record that for that customer. So if they're using, a mobile phone, they're using Teams mobile phone, then 100% we can capture that, just in the same way as you would if they were using, a physical handset or a desktop app as well. Doesn't matter, we capture everything. So that's been a really good development for us, because we do get asked a lot for mobile recording, especially again from the regulated industries. You've got traders out there, or people that are obviously working and moving, and they use their kind of go-to device is their mobile. So if they're using Teams mobile, then that's great for us, because it means we're right across the board of all the different platforms.
And I think it speaks to functionality. It's not really a useful system if people are peeling off phone calls by mobile device or with some technique, which they feel is natural, and then it turns out they're out of compliance and the whole thing is defeated.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's always been a challenge, because the obviously in the mobile industry, you've got lots of different players. You've got different regions, different countries, different networks. So it's always been a difficult one. So it makes sense for a global provider like Microsoft that have that service. It makes sense for those guys to use that, utilize that service, and then for us to be able to capture it and keep them compliant.
Now, what about customization, especially customizing policy settings? You've explained to us how you can handle almost any terrain, people that have all sorts of hybrid situations and so on. But can they customize what's being recorded?
They can, yeah, and that's something that that we've worked on over the years as well. So we've listened to feedback from our customers and kind of understood that, you know, it's not a one size fits all. There's going to be certain situations that don't need to be recorded and others that do. So one of the things that we've looked at is this real kind of granular policy recording, and the means that the customer can control exactly what scenarios are recorded and which ones aren't. So, for example, if you and I were working in a regulated environment, Doug, and you know, we were talking, it was an internal call between us, then the regulation doesn't require us to record that call. But if we were to bring in an external party, for example, so maybe, you know, one of our clients joined us on that call, then that would then become a call that needs to be recorded. So the beauty of our granular policy means that we can set that up automatically. So as soon as that third party joins the call, the recording service kicks in. And it goes beyond that as well. Certain regions, you know, you have to be able to opt in or opt out of calls that need to be recorded. So what it means is that we can then, you know, set policies around that. So we can say, okay, you've got different call queues depending upon the requirements. So, you know, a caller dials in, they get the automated assistant. They find the service that they want. Then they get asked, yeah, this call is going to be recorded. Are you happy to continue? And they can hit a yes or a no option. The yes obviously then becomes a recorded call. The no obviously doesn't. But what it means is that we can build out that hunt group. You can have the same people in the hunt group, but just by going through those different routes, we can say, okay, this call queue is recorded, this one isn't. So it just means that rather than it just being a, you know, yes or no, on or off, it means we can get super granular, you know, and pick up all of those needs from different customers. We've also got the app as well within that's built within Teams as well. So that also gives the kind of the other end of the scale, where it enables the customer to be able to have like a pause and resume button as well, which is quite unique in the industry as well. So we've tried to capture all the different requirements, all the different scenarios that people are likely to find themselves in, you know, and build our solution around those. But it's a moving target, so we're always developing.
And it sounds to me like that level of customization is almost a more surgical approach to compliance.
It is, yeah, and we need to be prepared for it because, you know, compliance and regulation changes all the time. Yeah. You know, it just takes a big fine to hit the news, and you know the kind of repercussions are really you know quite significant. So we've got to be ready for that. You know, we can't just say, okay, well, you guys, you know, you're covered. We've built out all the different scenarios that can change. So our unfortunately for our development team, they're kind of always on standby for these things, so they can never relax.
Yeah, we actually have a graphic here. Do you want to show us on how easy this is to do the customization? You really don't need great skill, apparently.
Thanks, Doug. No, exactly that. What we've tried to do is keep it as simple as possible for an admin, just to be able to go in very quickly on the fly and be able to change, you know, policies around securing the recording. Sorry, the call and different scenarios, whether it's inbound, outbound. Doesn't have to record the whole interaction. Could just be the audio and not the video. Could be everything. Could include screen sharing. But the point is, it's one dashboard. Go in, make the changes that you need as you need to make them, quick and easy, and therefore, you know, anyone can do it. So again, it's the CallCabinet way. Try and keep things as simple as possible and as effective as possible.
Well, Darren, I really want to thank you for joining me today. This has been very interesting and giving us a brief overview of how you guys basically not only, you know, capture information and so on, but offer actionable information and do it across all sorts of platforms.
Thanks,
where can we learn more?
Yeah, good question. So we are, you can go to callcabinet.com. There's a lot of information there. We've got a great marketing team that are constantly producing new collateral, new content. We've got case studies, business case as well. So people can go in there and, you know, find something that's relevant to their situation and find out more information there. Or they can contact one of the team. We've got 5 offices globally. So any region you're in, you know, our contact details are on the website. Reach out, and we'd be really delighted to talk to you.
Darren, thank you very much indeed for joining me today. I'm looking forward to our next podcast. But for now, thanks.
Fantastic. Thanks, Doug. Great to see you.